Good morning. I hope you wake up and let that sun hit your face. I didn't always used to. It seems silly to the past me. But little things, new patterns, have a way of opening doors. Doors of perception, individual perception, so you can appreciate things just a little bit better. My bookmark for this Bible is a check. It was the first account I ever got when I moved down here to North Carolina. I subcontracted a lot, but I did a lot of sales going seriously to work 12-hour, 13, 14-hour shifts. Leave before it was light out and come back after dark. I'm not the only one with stories like that, but if you have a story like that, you get how hard it is to get up after you come home from work or to use your lunch break to go into a few retail stores to make some sales. And just try to, like, I guess, show off your skills and try to grow your business while trying to be humble. And anyways, yeah, it's the first account dated 10/8/21, like official account. Came here October 2019. Worked my ass off for a year before this happened. A little over a year. Maybe closer to 2. Yeah. So that bookmark stays there. I actually have it. I went to a Bible study just the other day. Same church I went to on Sunday where I gifted them that rocking chair. And in that Bible study, they were going over, I came in the middle of it. They're going over the book of Isaiah. I think we talked about that once before. But one thing valuable that this ministry offered me was, I don't really go to Bible studies. I kind of just study the Bible. They had this outline and basically syllabus. And the framework of it, it looks just like a school syllabus. I looked at it and I just really, I loved it. I laughed, but like the most endearing kind of like, I'm gonna start doing this for y'all because it just makes sense. Like, bloop. Sorry. I guess I can be kind of sporadic sometimes. It's just the nature of it. But yeah, there's a little syllabus outline here, and they did, full transparency, they did say that they borrowed this from another ministry. But yeah, thank you. So hopefully I can make more sense of this, which was kind of crazy because I went there and expressed some not fringe totally ideas, but we talked. And if you know about what I talk about on this channel, you'll know that if you talk about some of the stuff that I talk about and you go say that at a church, you're probably going to have an anxiety attack. Well, come as you are, right? And they were very open to the ideas. And they were very receptive. And that's kind of what we need in this world, is just, yeah, you have your beliefs, but at the same time, listen. You don't have to be gullible. I think I've said this before too, where if you have faith in your God, you shouldn't be scared of learning. Your God will protect you. But you have to Compassion requires knowledge. Being in the front lines. And a lot of people can speak a big game, and they can read all the books and all the poetry, and they can read the works of great people and apply them into some kind of lesson, but at the same time, those are empty. The words, if they don't carry feeling behind them, you know, like if you're playing out of a cheap guitar or a cheap piano, you play a most beautiful song, but as soon as you play that out of an instrument that's been tuned, that's been honed and created, it's just a different experience. So it's not to say that those, I guess you could say, juggled around wisdoms aren't valuable, because that's what inspires people. But at the same time, when you hear something that comes from some place, that just leaves you more open too. You want to listen. Look at that, we're already at 6.5 minutes and I didn't even get to this. Here, wait up. Let me switch something up. So now I already discussed, we did, about Isaiah being the weeping prophet, because most of his testimony is, you can just tell. You can just tell. Sometimes when I read these books, it's just a catalog of events that have gone by, like the Book of Numbers, and Judges seems to be like that too. A little bit, just a quick example, but this is more so in Lamentations. That's sort of the book that's really got my fascination at the moment. I'll go over that independently with a syllabus for all of us. But books like that, it's almost as if you're reading somebody's journal, somebody who just been through a tragedy and they're just crying. When I read that, I can feel the tears on the pages, because those words aren't words that are spoken by somebody who has all the assurances and all the faith in the world. That's somebody who is going through it, who's a believer, and they are being tested. So yeah, let's go. We at this Bible study, let's let this plane go by. Let your peace be stronger than the chaos. Unwavering. So we started at Isaiah 33. Well, I walked in on Isaiah 33. They didn't start there. And it's kind of a heavy part. So it's got a lot of those Baptist biblical themes that everybody's wary of, but we approach them from a different lens. So I'll go ahead and read. Another plane coming. I'll get comfortable first. Yeah, that works. Sorry, we all have our vices, right? I enjoy it. Helps me focus. Used to be like chain smoking cigarettes. I think I'm better off. I'll work on that one day. Really? It's like I smoke damn near a pack a day. Pack and a half. Because I would just sit there with my books and read and read and read and read and read, and I wouldn't even realize I was just lighting them up one after another. I get into these, like, I just get into the zone when I'm reading. It's a different experience for me. So, Isaiah 33. Woe to you, destroyer, who have not been destroyed. Woe to you, betrayer, who have not been betrayed. When will you stop destroying? No, when you stop destroying, you won't be destroyed. When you stop betraying, you will be betrayed. Lord, be gracious to us. We long for you. Be our strength every morning, our salvation in time of distress. At the uproar of your army, the people flee. When you rise up, the nations scatter. Your plunder, O nations, is harvested as a young locust. Like a swarm of locusts, people pounce on it. You ever notice that? How people become locusts? There's a lot of metaphors for locusts. A locust is basically a grasshopper. And that's really interesting to know. A grasshopper is just hanging out, and as long as there's enough food, it's just a happy little grasshopper. But as soon as the population of those grasshoppers boom, like it becomes population dense and they start to have to compete for food, they start to evolve just like a wild pig into a boar. And you know how boars, they grow really, really, really thick and hard hair, and then they start to grow tusk and they become like wild again. The same effect is true for grasshoppers, and they become locusts and they just ravage whatever environment that they're in. You ever been in a big city? Do you live in one? Were you raised in one? You know what I mean by locusts? Anyways, let's go back and talk about this real quick. So, woe to you, destroyer, you who have not been destroyed. Woe to you, betrayer, you who have not been betrayed. So Isaiah is basically, we're going over this in the Bible study, that he was basically warning people of this town that impending disaster is coming. They're not listening to God, and they are just basically falling into depravity. And he's trying to give them a warning. Like, your ways are just not conducive to this message. So it's basically a warning. He says, woe to you, destroyer, you who have not been destroyed. Woe to you, betrayer, you who have not been betrayed. He's telling them they have no empathy. He's saying you're destroying, you're betraying, you're doing all these things because you have no empathy. You're not thinking about what you're doing. If you had been destroyed, you would not destroy. If you had been betrayed, you would really and truly never betray. So even though this is almost a lamentation, but it's almost like a declaration, a warning, it's also a plea to turn your way. At the very end, this is like the last letter before, 40 days from now, all hell's gonna break loose, literally. And this is not an I told you so. This is him crying, telling them, woe, destroyer, you who have not been destroyed, you betrayer, have not been betrayed. Lord, be gracious to us. We long for you. We long for you because we don't have you. Be our strength every morning, our salvation in time of distress. The Lord is exalted, for he dwells on high. He will fill Zion with his justice and righteousness. He will be sure foundation for your times, a rich store of salvation and wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the key to this treasure. The fear of the Lord. Somebody raised their hand when they read this part. That's an old Baptist thing. The fear of the Lord. And that's the biggest part I wanted to read because I'll be actually addressing key lines like that and interpretations. So I'm reading the New International Version. A few other individuals in the group are reading just New Testament, like just the Bible, but different like translations. And even between those two books, the words and the word choices were dramatic, and it would leave a different kind of feeling if you were familiar with themes and how writing works. It could be confusing. He will be a sure foundation for your times, a rich store of salvation and wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the Lord is key to this treasure. So that word fear. people kind of raise their eyes. They recognize that passage. It kind of gives people goosebumps sometimes. The fear of the Lord. When, so I raised my hand, and we looked it up, and we looked it up together so that everybody could see it. And the word fear is translated from other words. Reverence is the word that I always interchange when I read passages like that, because I'm just familiar with the different books, and I'm going to start laying those things out for you because I know that you don't have that kind of backlog and reference. So I want to make sure that it's clear, and that's why we're going to use these syllabuses going forward. Because I wrote it down like this. Lord God doesn't want you to fear him. It's about reverence. It's about respect, and we have free will. And it's a fear of the Lord is doing what you're supposed to, even though you don't have to. Reverence for the Lord. If I'm just following what God tells me to do because I'm scared that he's going to send earthquakes and hellfire down, then is that really love? Is that really authentic? What's to separate God from the devil? Because that devil can be kind of scary too, right? And that's pure fear. So if I say I love you, God, but then I'm only doing this because I'm fearing the Lord, and that's the only way to get my salvation, is it truly authentic? Or am I lying to myself and God? So reverence for the Lord. These books, you have to remember that these were translated from old languages that were poetic in nature. Literally poetic in nature. The way that they formed stories was just different. So don't close your heart because of a certain phrase or word. Look into it. Talk to friends. Honestly, just read. But I know a lot of people, just from reading that part, fear of the Lord, they get turned away. And there's a few other parts too. They kind of just turn people off to the religion, but it's the word choices, you know? Like when we send a text message and we use the wrong words, it's just like, oh, I should use that word instead. That sounds a little bit too professional. That sounds a little too critical. I need a thesaurus. Well, a lot of these church fathers and early compilers of the Bible were doing the same thing. The scribes were just doing their best. So we have to do our best. Let's see if there's another line I want to go over really quick. This was just part of my Bible study this week with the congregation, so I was just going over it again. I'm a little farther ahead because I've been going through it all again. Let's see, Isaiah 34. Come near, you nations, and listen. Pay attention, you peoples. Let the earth hear and all that's in it, the world and all that comes out of it. The Lord is angry with all nations. All nations. His wrath is on all their armies. He will totally destroy them. He will give them over to slaughter. Their slain will be thrown out. Their bodies will stink, and the mountains will be soaked with their blood. I don't think God's going to do this. I think he's talking about we're going to do this to each other. Think about it. It's a prophecy. All the stars in the sky will be dissolved, and the heavens rolled up like a scroll. All those idols, stars in the sky. The heavens will be rolled up like a scroll. If the stars are idols, then the heavens are rolled up like a scroll. Stories, this history. all the starry host will fail, and the withered leaves from the vine, like shriveled figs from the fig tree. False teachers. This is God talking. My sword has drunk its fill in the heavens. See, it descends in judgment on Edom. The people I have totally destroyed. The sword of the Lord is bathed in blood. It is covered with fat, the blood of lambs and goats, fat from the kidneys of rams. For the Lord has a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. So the people didn't turn away from their ways, and they turned into locusts, and they ended up slaughtering each other. And obviously that's an act of God. They turned from the ways, they got the wrong message. And when things started to collapse, instead of finding their center and calibrating, they just completely went fanatic. So this symbolism is crazy. Just being honest, it's wild. Blood of lambs and goats, fat from the kidneys of rams, for the Lord has sacrificed. Sacrifice meaning, okay, so not, oh yeah, I'm going to sacrifice you so that I'm going to sacrifice this whole city so that there's peace. Like, you have to die in order for us to have salvation. No, not that kind of sacrifice. And a sacrifice in a sense that this town screwed up. Now everybody's watching. So it's a sacrifice because God didn't want that to happen. He sent Isaiah to go warn them. But he's also one for hashing out lessons too. So it was a sacrifice because although that city fell, it still hurt God. Now look at him. I mean, Isaiah's crying during this. He's even actually pleading with them to change their ways at the end. So sacrifice isn't necessarily of like, oh man, the rain, it's a drought. Let's go drag this fucking city out here and just kill them all. And then, oh, God brings down the rain. No. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sacrifice this thing in order to, like, receive salvation. That's not what God meant. Sacrifice is something that you don't want to do, right? It's something beautiful that you have to do anyway. I had to cut this out, and, like, my wife called right as we were getting up into that, that flow, and it cut off the video, but it's okay. So sacrifice is something that you don't want to do, but you do anyway, and it's God's sacrifice. He doesn't want that city to destroy themselves because they're not listening to the message. It's just they didn't listen to the instructions of the rule book, and now they're going to hurt themselves. So as a lesson to the people around, he sent Isaiah to warn them one last time. And when they didn't listen, he left Isaiah there for 40 years to remind everybody else what happens. And it's not necessarily that God's going to come down and destroy you. It's that if you don't listen to God, He promises that you'll destroy yourself. It's a rule book, in a sense. Moral code. People don't like the word karma because they think it's sacrilegious or something, but what else do you call when God remembers? So I use the word karma a lot, not because I ascribe to Hindu theology, though I'm well versed in many of their books. I don't ascribe to Hindu theology, but certain themes and ideas that are valuable for understanding because we probably don't have the words for it in our language. Karma is an English word. Shit, hammock. Hammock is from Puerto Rico, the Caribbean. Did you know that? Hamaca. It's not even Spanish. It's an indigenous language, the Taino Indians, my people. Hamaca. Hammock. It's not even Spanish, it's indigenous. You don't got a word for hammock in English. Barbecue, same thing. It's from the Caribbean, Taino Indians, the Caribs. Babacoa. Babacoa. It's not Spanish. It's indigenous. Babacoa evolved to barbecue. They didn't want to spell it out, so they just put BBQ. So yeah, I might use some words in here just to describe ideas. And I hope that you keep an open mind because we all have questions and we're all looking for answers.